Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Africa News with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, do more and quickly, says US President Barack Obama. This as he unveils a major new initiative which will send 3,000 US troops to try and turn the tide against the Ebola epidemic sweeping through West Africa. The UN's warned that it's taking Sierra Leone, Guinea and Liberia to the brink of logistical collapse. Also, 12 soldiers in Nigeria are sentenced to death by firing squad for mutiny. Morale amongst troops fighting Boko Haram militants is already low, and President Jonathan's been urged by senators to ramp up anti-insurgency operations even further. And as the South African Human Rights Commission hears a complaint about the dangers faced by farmers, we speak to one advocate who says it's not a matter of race, but of security for rural communities. First up, the US has sounded a global alarm over the Ebola outbreak raging in West Africa. On Tuesday night, US President Barack Obama unveiled a new initiative which will see 3,000 US troops head to the region to try and combat an epidemic that's claimed more than 2,400 lives. Obama has also called on the international community to do more to stop the virus spiraling out of control. The UN's estimated that 20,000 people could be infected by the deadly disease by the end of the year, and that around $1 billion is needed to turn the tide of the crisis.
In West Africa, Ebola is now an epidemic of the likes that we have not seen before. It's spiraling out of control. It is getting worse. It's spreading faster and exponentially. And if the outbreak is not stopped now, we could be looking at hundreds of thousands of people infected, with profound political and economic and security implications for all of us. So this is an epidemic that is not just a threat to regional security, it's a potential threat to global security if these countries break down, if their economies break down, if people panic.
In Nigeria, 12 soldiers have been sentenced to death by firing squad for mutiny. Military authorities handed down the sentence, having found the group guilty of insubordination and of having tried to kill their commanding officer in Maiduguri in May. It's thought that the troops, who were part of the force battling Boko Haram militants in the northeast, were angered by the lack of equipment and support for anti-insurgency operations. Well, Aminu Abubakar is in Nigeria for us. He tells us about the effect on military morale this judgment is likely to have.
Even going to dampen morale and hating dissent among these soldiers who are very much angry with the lack of care, with the lack of weapons they need to crush the insurgency in the face of very rapid takeover of large territory by the insurgents and the escalation of killings by Boko Haram in the northeast Nigeria.
Now, on the political side, senators say that they're going to put more pressure on Goodluck Jonathan to treat the battle against Boko Haram like it's a war. Now, hasn't he already done that? And it really looks like frustration is growing on all fronts. So what more can he do? Yeah, we know that following the kidnap of the Chibok school girls, the President Jonathan declared that Nigeria, was in war with Boko Haram, and other senior government officials repeated the same claim. But the government has failed to match words with action. But now with the Senate leadership coming out to say that Nigeria is at war, the fact that the Senate president was once a military officer, underscores the frustration and anger even among people in government. And perhaps this is another call for the government to do more to provide all the logistics, all the weapons, and all the encouragement, incentives the military needs to fight the insurgency. Aminu Abubakar there for us. Well, in other news, South Africa says that 67 of its nationals are amongst those killed in a collapsed building in Lagos. More than 1,000 rescue workers have been working night and day at the site since Friday, trying to get to survivors who may still be trapped beneath the rubble. Earlier on Tuesday, a woman was rescued. Emergency staff say she luckily escaped with only an injured hand. Over 133 people have so far been rescued. Officials have speculated the building collapsed because it was being poorly constructed. It contained the guest house of the church of a Nigerian televangelist, which attracted people from around the world. South Sudan's ordered companies and NGOs to give jobs to South Sudanese nationals. The new rules allow for exceptions when organisations are unable to find locals with the necessary skills. Now, aid agencies have been ramping up their presence in the country since fierce battling between government troops and rebels sparked a humanitarian crisis in December. Until now, the agencies faced no employment limitations. But from next month, they'll have to justify hiring foreign staff. The regulations bring the troubled nation into line with other East African countries. South African rights organisation AfriForum has today been before the South African Human Rights Commission for a hearing over their complaint that not enough's being done to tackle the violence faced by farmers in the country. Thousands have died in attacks on their property over the last 2 decades, and activists say that it's more dangerous to be a farm worker than a police officer in South Africa. Well, the head of AfriForum, Ernst Roets, was before the SAHC's panel in Johannesburg today. He tells us from Pretoria how his organisation got those figures about the dangers faced by farmers compared to police.
The South African Police Department used to release statistics about farm murders up until 2007. Then there was a 25% increase in these attacks, after which they decided that no further statistics will be released. So at this stage, it is up to civil society to draw up their own statistics based on media reports and reports by the public. So the statistics aren't as accurate as they should be, but the statistics that we use are estimates made by research organizations.
So why are farm killings any different from any other murders in South Africa? It has one of the highest murder rates in the world.
Well, we argued at the Human Rights Commission that there's 4 reasons why farm murders are unique and why it should be treated as a priority crime. And just to give the 4 reasons very briefly, the first is the unique frequency thereof, where the average farmer's chances, according to research institutes, to be murdered is about 4 times that of the average South African and more than twice that of a police officer in South Africa. The second reason is the unique levels of extreme brutality. Many of these farmers are tortured for hours before they are killed in the most horrific ways. And then the third reason is obviously the role that farmers play in South Africa in terms of job creation, in terms of food security. And the fourth reason is the fact that farmers live in remote areas where reaction time by the police isn't what it should be. And that in itself already justifies that we need to prevent these type of crimes with a unique counter strategy.
Are you talking about white farmers here?
When we're talking about farm murders, we're talking about all farmers. White farmers are being killed and black farmers. It's difficult to generalize about this issue. Like I said, white and black farmers are being killed, but in many cases we find that these attacks are in fact race-related.
And so they're speaking to us a little earlier on. Finally, their dance moves ignited the dance floor and sparked an internet sensation. The Ghetto Kids, a troupe of Ugandan children, danced for a video that gained 5 million hits on YouTube, making them famous in their home country and beyond. Well, with a little help, they're now seeking to take things to the next level. Our correspondent sent us this report.
Dance class for the Ghetto Kids. With their incredible rhythm, these children, aged from 8 to 11, have stolen hearts. Their video, posted on social media in January, has resulted in more than 5 million views. An incredible success. Almost a miracle for these disadvantaged kids.
My mother wasn't able to pay school fees or even rent for the house. But since I joined this dance group, my school has been paid for. Now I'm also well dressed and can eat when I'm hungry.
The children are now at school. This man is their benefactor. He's a mathematics teacher and, in his spare time, a choreographer.
I met one of the kids, I met them on the street and then dancing. Then I discovered that he can dance. So then I tried to bring them together, look for other kids. Then I formed a group. And then from that group, we tried to form the City Loss clip so that they are from real ghetto. I'm hoping that maybe if I get supporters from different people, we can help them in the future and their life change.
The Ghetto Kids have inspired expectations among loved ones. the family of brothers Isaac and Freddie live in the capital's poorest quarter, but now have better hopes for the future.
I really hope that they will progress, that this will continue for them, so that they can help their brothers and sisters and family.
And to enable more children to improve their daily lives, the Ghetto Kids are expanding. 15 new recruits will learn their routines and join the happy troop.
Well, that wraps up things for me. Stay with us, more coming up.